Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. RowPaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. It's Mondays with Mallory, with KTIK 95.3 FM The Ticket's John Mallory. Listen to Idaho Sports Talk with Prater in the Ballgame, weekdays from 3 to 6 on 95.3 FM The Ticket and online at KTIK.com. Now, here's Johnny Ballgame and B.J. Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Happy Monday to you. B.J. Rains here with Bronco Nation News. It's Monday, so we got John Mallory here, host of Prater in the Ballgame 3 to 6 weekdays on KTIK 95.3 The Ticket, KTIK.com, the KTIK app, all that great stuff. Johnny, it's Monday. It's a pretty sunny day out there, starting a new week. How's it going, man?
It's going well, man. Thanks. Always good to be with you on these Mondays. And I don't know if too many folks would have thought this, 6-7 weeks ago with this football program, but they go into Laramie, Wyoming, BJ, with a lot at stake. Conference championship, obviously, still in play, and they're probably the favorites at this point. And I don't know if many people still thought they would recover this way, but certainly within this league, they've recovered and then some.
Well, appreciate everybody for checking us out. Please make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel down there at the bottom of your screen. Just click subscribe. We'd love to have you on our YouTube channel and the 95.3 The Ticket YouTube channel as well. They do daily video segments, so make sure you're subscribing to the KTIK YouTube channel as well. We got a lot going on, but if you want to comment, the only way you can do it is on the YouTube channels. We don't see the Twitter comments. So if you're watching on Twitter, we apologize. The program doesn't let us bring in the Twitter comments. So subscribe on YouTube or Facebook, and that's how we can read your comments and get them on the air. Randall Clark says huge game Saturday. Wyoming will be ready. We're going to talk some football coming off the 41-3 win in snowy Reno. We're going to talk basketball, big bounce back win against Washington State as well, Johnny. But in our pre-show meeting about 6:45 this morning, we agreed to start with football. So we'll go football first. 41-3. Kind of did what they were supposed to do. I got some highlights I'll play in the background here as we talk about the game. But overall, Johnny, kind of what we expected, right? They kind of went down there and just took care of business.
Wow, didn't they? That game was long, and that game was, I'll say, boring at times, right, BJ? I mean, that thing dragged on. Boise State was clearly on another level, on every level against Nevada. Not only as a team on that Saturday night, but just as a program right now. It's tough what's going on in Reno with the Wolfpack and their athletic department, their fan base, and Boise State just capitalized on that and the fact that their football team is in total transition right now, BJ. That was a mismatch. And I mean, I don't even think that's a strong enough word for the disparity of the talent and the execution of those teams on Saturday, BJ. Total annihilation.
No, it really was. What'd you make of just kind of look at the snow coming down here? There was a couple missed field goals, a couple blocks. Canijo had one there. Watched a little bit of the game again last night on TV, but what did the conditions and things look like on TV?
Looked like it was a mess, man. It looked like snow was going side to side. The mixture of the snow and the wind, it by no means looked warm or toasty outside. It looked like those players were like, oh, man. But, I think maybe they mentioned this on the TV copy. I know Mike Prater mentioned this on Bronco game night, that maybe this was a nice test. Get these kids used to playing in the snow, for some of them the very first time of their career, because forecasts will probably indicate there's probably a decent chance you're going to get some type of snow, at least inclement weather in Laramie on Saturday, BJ. And maybe if the one takeaway from this game in Reno was just kind of, okay, here's how we're going to play this situation if and when it does get cold. And maybe you use that to your advantage. I've heard a lot of people say that, or a couple people say that too.
Here's Talon Green running for a touchdown here. By the way, in Wyoming on Saturday, single-digit temperatures projected during the game. So it wasn't even that cold. It was only in the 30s during this one. It was cold, but it wasn't like super cold. It's going to be in the single digits potentially in Laramie on Saturday. So you're right, kind of a nice warm test there. But the defense, you see Scott Matlock right there getting the sack, Johnny. And again, Colin Mitchell, appreciate him getting these this footage for us. He braved the elements. I wasn't, Johnny. I was up in the press box staying warm, but Colin Mitchell went out there in the snow and got all these highlights for us. You see George Solani's incredible 49-yard run here, extends the streak. Undefeated Boise State is in his career when they rush for 100 yards. You had Steph Cobbs with a nice pass there. I guess I want to talk defense, but we're seeing some offensive highlights here. So let's go offense first, Johnny. What'd you make of Boise State's offense? 41 points in less than ideal conditions, and kind of a nice mix between the run and the pass.
Well, I mean, holy smokes, man, your guy Colin does an excellent job with this. I don't know where he learned or whatever. I mean, we went to Arizona State. Did he take any film classes there with this? Look, he did.
He's majoring in broadcast journalism. So yes,
so he's good at this, man. Let me throw that out there. Anything Nevada wanted to do, they couldn't, and basically everything Boise State wanted to do, they could. I mean, it was one of those types of mismatches. The field goal situation, hey, sure. I mean, you don't want to know who the holder is. You don't want to hear Connor Riddle's name. He had a rough night, and the snapper probably had a rougher night than the hold. But that's a three-way deal. They all, they're a team, obviously a unit there, and they need to clean that up. But I expect them that they will.
What'd you make of the defense? Here's another nice run by Ashton Genty, but the defense, I think, had 4 sacks. I know Nevada's offense is not very good, Johnny, but, coming off that BYU game, I know a lot of the coaches and players were not happy with how they played. Only giving up 3 points, 4 sacks, I believe, holding them to like 250 yards. What'd you make of Boise State's defense in this one?
I saw that the defense now, I think they've surrendered 10 points in the first half in league games the entire season. So when you get to go into a half with the lead as often as Boise State does, that's going to allow your staff, that's going to allow the players. I mean, that's going to allow situational football, right? Playing with a lead, that's going to change sometimes, in their case, your mindset. So credit the defense there for putting this team in that position almost every single league game going into the second half. They fly around to the ball. I mean, they're kind of a microcosm of their coach, Spencer Danielson, and his attitude, energetic, enthusiastic, flying around, having fun to the ball. I don't know where the health is moving forward. That would be my biggest concern with this defense. As long as they're playing Mountain West opponents, I think it's clearly the best defense in the league, BJ.
Well, I did report it last night on Twitter, Johnny. Sources told me last night Dimitri Washington is out for the season, shoulder injury. So you're not going to get Dimitri Washington back on one side. You lost George Tarlas on the other. So you've now lost both your starting edge rushers for the season. We saw Tyreek Jones go out during the game. Don't know his status. Zeke Noah did not play. So you're right, Johnny. I mean, I know they preach dependable depth, but you can only have so many guys that can keep coming in and not have the level of play drop off.
Yeah, at this point in the Mountain West, I don't know what you can do when you lose these guys. And just think about the Banya kid, Isaiah. He chooses not to transfer or go to the transfer portal. He hasn't transferred yet. I mean, he'd be getting big time snaps right now. That's too bad.
It certainly is. And so Boise State 41-3, they get the win kind of as expected. And now they move on to Wyoming, Johnny, where, as you said, if you had told them when they were 2-2, a lot of fans wouldn't have believed you, man. Didn't think they thought they might need this game to be fighting for bowl eligibility. And here they are now, a win, and they are in. Fresno State can also clinch if they win on Saturday. So we could have the title game, at least the two teams, locked up before they play. And I think you'd have the location locked up too, because even if Boise State were to lose to Utah State and they finished tied with Fresno, they beat Fresno head-to-head in the standings. So I think if Boise State wins on Saturday and Fresno State wins on Saturday, it's all set 2 weeks from there, you'll have the Mountain West Championship on the blue. Maybe that helps ticket sales because you got 2 weeks to try to sell it instead of one. Traditionally, the Mountain West Championship game hasn't had great attendance because the season ticket package and all that is not included. But overall, Johnny, it's, a position, like you said, that you win and you're in, which we didn't think was possible here a month and a half ago.
Yeah, it's real quick, though. Yeah, it's been tough in the past for Boise State to sell that Mountain West Championship game. Jeremiah Dickey has not been a part of one yet. I would love to see what Dickey and his squad are going to do to try to somehow push ticket sales, because correct me if I'm wrong, BJ, if you're a season ticket holder and you've been sitting in those seats for 37 years for the Mountain West Championship game, you don't get that seat, correct?
Yeah, I think you might get like a day or two to reserve that seat if you want to before they go on sale to the general public, but you have to pay for it again. It's not just handed to you. It's not part of the season ticket package. You do have to go in and re-hit yes and put your credit card info or whatever in the system and do that whole deal and buy the tickets again.
Seat.
Yeah, but I think they do give you a day or two in advance to claim your same seat if you want.
Okay, well, that's cool too. Hopefully they offer that in that type of situation. It would be nice to get a good crowd there, especially if a hot Fresno is coming in, but obviously, we're putting the cart way before the horse right now, BJ. That's in December. Yeah, back to Wyoming quickly.
12-point favorites, by the way. Boise State favored by 12 going to Laramie.
Makes sense, right? That probably makes sense. Wyoming's been all over the place. Last week, they had to replace their quarterback, Andrew Peasley, during the game. I don't know about his status moving forward. The backup actually came in and played serviceable as well. So, but they barely got away from Colorado State. Boise State should be favored in this one. Maybe the weather can somehow help the Cowboys on this thing, or maybe the Cowboys are just cowboy tough, and they've kind of shown that this year. This Wyoming team, what are they, 7-3, BJ? They just kind of won't go away. But I would imagine Boise State wins this. I just think they're the better football team, and we'll see what happens, obviously, on Saturday. But for them to be in this position, pretty cool for the fan base. Might be playing for a banner this year.
And I think Wyoming's going to end up being one of those teams getting in the mix for the Potato Bowl come late December too, because you're going to have, maybe San Jose State, who has never, one of three teams I think it's never played in the bowl. But you look at that 6-6, 7-5 range. I mean, if Wyoming loses the next two games to Boise State and Fresno and they go 7-5, they're probably going to be one of those teams in the mix for the Potato Bowl. But
Wyoming draws okay too. They were just here last year, right? That was a decent little.
Which maybe crowd. They won't come back. Yeah, that's true. Maybe they wouldn't put them back.
They don't want to come back.
I forgot about that. Yeah. But single digits, as I said, expected in Laramie. So it's going to be a cold one on Saturday, but it is another 5:00 start, right? So a little bit earlier start for this one. You don't have to worry about the 8:30 start. Johnny, I don't know how late you guys were on the air, but we were doing our Lithia Florida Boise postgame show till 2:01 in the morning Boise time after the game on Saturday. I'm sure you guys were approaching 2 a.m. as well. It was not fun when you're starting your show after 1 a.m.
That was brutal, man. Especially it was a long game, BJ. It's like 11, and the third quarter just started. There was a couple of situations with injuries where that takes time to go through all those protocols, and it was a long game. So we got off the air at 2:00, just like you did, 2 a.m., got home at about 2:30, was able to finally head to pillow about 3, and then I had to wake up for the Seahawk game at 7:15. Yesterday, I was a zombie, man. That was tough, but
it was crazy because I missed
those are done.
Yes, thank you. And I missed the first two series of the game, so I got there a little bit late, but I felt like I'd been there a long time, and I had written a basketball story, and I had done a lot, and I had eaten, and I felt like I'd been there a while, and I look up, and there's still 10 minutes left in the second quarter. And I'm like, what is going on? How is this game taking so long? And you mentioned there were multiple injuries. For whatever reason, guys just kept running out of bounds or passes kept being incomplete. It just seemed like the clock was barely moving. And when it's snowing and it's cold and it doesn't start till 8:37 or whatever it was, I mean, it's certainly, it is what it is. But Boise State gets the win, 41-3. They're now 6-0 in Mountain West play. They'll head to Laramie on Saturday, and then they got the Black Friday 10 a.m. game. Do you think the attendance will be hurt at all by the 10 a.m. game if they've already clinched the title?
I don't think so. I think it's going to be hip in this town to do the Bronco game early morning Black Friday after you get to bed early on Thanksgiving. Everybody goes to bed early on Thanksgiving, right? I think that's going to be a fun opportunity. And then maybe even after the game, if you want to, you can go do some holiday shopping if that's on your list.
Well, you could do the shopping before. You wake up at 5, get at those early deals, and then
I
go
think
straight
it's
to
gonna
the
be
game
cool
or whatever.
to go to this game. It's senior day. I mean, that's a lot of
Boise State's been a part of a couple of those. Last year they had it against San Diego State. That was at 9 a.m. Pacific time.
Too.
I remember setting an alarm to cover a Boise State football game on a game day for like 5:45 in the morning. I was like, "What is going on here?" You question your life choices at that point when it's Black Friday at 5:45 a.m. and you're not getting up to shop; you're getting up to cover a football game. No, it was, and they had the Utah State game last year, right? It was an early 10 a.m. game, I think, for CBS. So that'll be fun in 2 weeks. But first, got to take care of business against Wyoming. Again, 5 o'clock on Saturday. We'll have coverage all week of that as we get you set for a big football game. But a big week coming up in Boise State sports in general with the men's basketball team as well, heading to the Myrtle Beach Invitational. We will talk basketball in just a second, but do want to thank a couple of our sponsors. Cutwater Canned Cocktails, they're our studio sponsor, broadcasting from the Cutwater Canned Cocktail Studios. More than 30 flavors of pre-mixed, premium, pre-made cocktails. Check out one today at your local gas station or grocery store. Transportation compliance service. If you're looking for a new job, new career change, look no further. Become a truck driver. It's a great industry right now, and you can be out on your own, towing that first load in no time if you let Transcom Service help you out with all the permits and things that you need. So check them out, transcomservice.com. And they'll get you out there on the road as soon as possible. Dr. Meinert, I'm actually going to see him today. Dr. Meinert, Boise Dentistry Co., locations across the Treasure Valley. Check him out, boisedentistryco.com. He does a great job, my dentist. So if you're looking for a new dentist, look no further, boisedentistryco.com, and full family dentistry. So your kids, your grandparents, whoever, they do a great job. Check them out, boisedentistryco.com. United Commercial Insurance, they can write business policy insurance in 44 states around the country. They're looking to add some businesses in the Treasure Valley, though. So if you're in the Treasure Valley and you have a business or help with the insurance for the business, they can write all your liability insurances and clauses and save you a lot of money. Quick call. It's all you need to do, 229-8222. United Commercial Insurance makes business insurance easy. UnitedCommercialInsurance.com. And, of course, one of my favorite sponsors, one of my favorite friends, Ridley's Family Markets. We appreciate Ridley's. ShopRidleys.com. Locations across the Treasure Valley, Cuna, Middleton, Star, you name it. And, Johnny, the Ridley family is taking me out to dinner for my birthday tonight. So I appreciate the Ridleys and their
what are you going to order?
I don't know. I can't tell you where we're going. We're not going to Ridley's, but
but I mean, you'll go to some place nice. You're going to order the steak.
I may have to.
New York.
Tomorrow is actually my birthday. I'm not asking for birthday shout outs, just making it known that tomorrow.
Just making it known that tomorrow you are, though.
Yeah. No, I will be spending my birthday tomorrow flying to Myrtle Beach. Full coverage for Bronco Nation News all week at the Myrtle Beach Invitational. The Broncos play on Thursday against Charlotte, potentially Friday against Loyola Chicago, and then potentially in the championship on Sunday against either Texas A&M or Colorado, both who are in the top 100 in the KenPom ranking. So we'll be traveling tomorrow, so going to go out to dinner tonight. Looking forward to that with some great friends, Mark and Kelly Ridley, and appreciate their friendship over the years and their support of Bronco Nation News. And Johnny, obviously basketball, man, we were both there. Idaho Central Arena on Saturday. We'll look back before we look ahead. I had a lot of fun, man. I really enjoyed that game. I thought, even though it wasn't full, it was a pretty good crowd. And in that building, there was an atmosphere. It was. I thought, loud at times. I thought the crowd was more into it, even maybe than some of the games at Extra Mile, whether it was the crowd was younger, whether it was a Saturday afternoon and they were just kind of in a good mood. I don't know. But overall, I thought it was a good crowd. I thought it was good energy, and I thought it was a nice win for Boise State.
Yeah, I'll agree with all of that. I didn't think they were going to get this one, man. I thought Wazoo was going to come in there and at this point in the year be the better team. I was wrong. Boise State, I got another terrific performance from Max on both ends. Max Rice averaging 18 points a night so far, BJ. I know it's just 2 games, but he's doing it, like I said, on the defensive end of the floor too. And right there, he just gave up a bucket, but that was one of the few ones he did. But anyway,
here's Max scores right here for you. He scores one off the glass, I believe.
Yeah, he had a couple of those. But impressed with this win, obviously, early on in the year. And, yeah, the environment was cool.
Now, I know I joked about it before the game, and I asked you if this was a must-win game. Here's this alley-oop. What'd you think of this, by the way?
That was the play of the game. I thought that was the highlight of the game. We're from our vantage point, we were on the 3rd floor. We could see that thing develop. That reminded me like old school growing up where I did like Gary Payton throwing half-court alley-oops to Sean Kemp. Like that's one of the more exciting plays in sports, certainly in basketball, the alley-oop, and Boise State showed off its athleticism a little bit there, BJ.
And I can't remember the last time we saw an alley-oop kind of like that, where you could see it developing, and it was a legit alley-oop. We had at least one other one, right, where that might have been it.
James Webby?
Yeah, it had to have been. There was at least one other one in the game where I think Lucas Milner kind of just caught it and dunked it, but I wouldn't call that like we saw, where it kind of developed, like you said, from half court, and he let it fly from behind the three-point line. That was a sick play.
Yeah, and I don't want to compare anybody with James Webb's athleticism on that, but that was James Webb-ish, certainly with Najee Smith. But yeah, those were fun days back when Webb was catching those suckers.
You saw Tyson Degenhart there taking it right at Gay. And scores in transition. There's another little floater from Max Rice. I know I said before the game, Johnny, kind of jokingly, is this a must-win game for Boise State? And obviously it wasn't. They were 3-4 last year. Still would have been an at-large team. But, you can't count on a 14-game winning streak in conference. You can't give up quality opportunities. This would not have been a bad loss. Washington State ranked number 60, I think, at KenPom. But to get a quad 2, maybe quad 1 win, locked up to get back to 500 going to the tournament. This was a pretty important win for him.
Yeah, as you develop your resume over the next, 4 or 5 months in college basketball, 4 months or so, BJ, I mean, you want to put yourself into a position where you can look back at the non-con and, you know what, a little extracurricular stuff. It helps that resume, right? It looks good when you have these wins early on in the season. First and foremost, obviously, though, you have to take care of business in league play. But like if Boise State finishes in the top 3 in the Mountain West this year, maybe even top 4, this win you're going to come back on and use it as some type of an advantage to say, hey, they won this game. And, that's where you want to be. And this is going to be one of those wins. If the Broncos are good enough in league play, BJ, we'll come back to this game in March, certainly in February, and say, yeah, that was a big win.
This was an insane stretch here. You get the first block out of nowhere from Najee Smith. Then he comes back. I think he got the second one. They called a foul. But 2 blocks or 2 plays like that in a span of like 5 seconds, man. Najee can get up there.
How do you call that?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you call that foul there on Najee after he blocked the first one? He sent the message there. The same play happens again, and you bail out the Cougar with one of those type of foul calls? Duder, no.
By the way, you see in a lot of these highlights, great ball movement. They're finding the extra pass. There you go, Najee under the basket. But, Leon has been saying, Johnny, this is going to be one of his better offensive teams or one of his better shooting teams. And there's a nice flip back by Tyson Degenhart there. But the passing, man, they've been making that extra pass. Almost in the first game, we thought they passed too much. But in this game the other night, they had found the right guy, made some nice passes, and then not a bad play to just let Marcus Shaver Jr. take it to the rack.
Yeah, we haven't seen Abbo yet to this level, but I think Abbo's going to be one of those slashers as well. The reason I think you're seeing better passing so far this year, I think Abu Kijab, I think Slippy Slappy Swami,
Emmanuel Akod, who had 10 assists in his last game for Western Kentucky.
Did he, E-Man? Yeah, I think those guys also, though, those guys were better at, I think, creating their own shot, certainly than some of the guys you have out there. Now Armouche as well. You could give him the ball on the block, and maybe this team you have to pass a little more with a little less athleticism, but it's not hurting them at all, and I think they'll get more athletic once Abbo gets into the field.
You had Marcus Shaver Jr. Take a couple big baskets. It was only, Johnny, they were up kind of comfortably the whole second half. Then you look up with 4 minutes left after this bucket right here, and it's only a 2-point game. And it was dicey there, man, and they needed to make some plays down the stretch. Back-to-back buckets here. Marcus Shaver, as I said, when you get a chance to have him – I guess Tyson got an and-one first. David Hall, the nice and-one there. But when they needed Marcus Shaver down the stretch, man, he had 2 baskets driving to the hoop on back-to-back plays. And really held off this Washington State team because it was getting dicey there towards the end. I think at this point it's only about a 4-point game, 5-point. And then you get it to Marcus Shaver and let him do his thing. And they kind of, we saw it as a trait last year. You had to make those big plays. That was another crazy bucket by Tyson Degenhart.
That was a Larry Bird type of layup there. I've seen him do that as well. Tyson Degenhart has that weird element to his game where he can create his own shot. And it's a pretty thing, man. He's going to have a terrific year, as will this gentleman, Marcus Shaver Jr., BJ. Can he be the best point guard in the Mountain West this year? I think he's in the mix. Shaver's going to have a monster year, I think.
Yeah, he certainly has a chance to. And, Johnny, that was kind of one of their traits last year, right? They finished down the stretch. Look at the dancing here from Najee Smith, the gritty or whatever the cool kids call it. He's pumped. Boise State's pumped. They get the win. They improve to 1-1 on the season. But, Johnny, that was last year. This team had those traits, man. They closed down the stretch. They were very good in close games. Now, yes, Marcus Shaver did some of that himself, hitting some of those crazy shots. But, this was a team that was very, veteran team, didn't, panic under pressure as some previous teams maybe have in the Leon Rice era. And for that game to be close down the stretch, as I said, a tie game, I think, with about 7 or 8 minutes left, 2-point game with about 4 minutes left for these guys to hit some clutch buckets and finish this game out. I think that's a trait that we saw last year, and it's nice to see potentially. Again, you didn't have it in the first game, losing by 2 points there on that, when Shaver missed the free throws, but it was nice to see them close that out.
And on to Myrtle Beach, right, BJ? Big win, cool opportunity. Like you said, that was a good crowd. I'll say that. It was a pretty good crowd, BJ. It was almost sold out. And with that arena right there, it's close-knit. Like, that was a good vibe. You were right on the atmosphere. That worked, and that was fun. Now, though, what's going on with Myrtle Beach? Who do they have this week? I know your coverage, you'll be there. That's going to be awesome. But let's talk a little bit about that.
They got Charlotte in the first game. It's 7 p.m. on Thursday Eastern time, so 5 p.m. Mountain time. Johnny, you'll be giving them updates on Idaho Sports Talk on Thursday.
Yep.
They play Charlotte. That game is on ESPN News. Hopefully, folks get ESPN News. That'll be on Thursday against Charlotte, who's ranked like 170th at KenPom. So that is a game they should win. I think they're projected to win by about 7 points. And then Friday, Johnny, would be the big one. They have a chance on Friday to play Loyola Chicago. Everybody knows them. They've made those runs in previous years. I think they won the Missouri Valley, had 25 wins last year. They're right about number 65, number 70 at KenPom. So very similar to Washington State. This has a chance to be a quad 1 game, for sure going to be quad 2. But that's Friday night at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. And then you're off Saturday, which works out well for the football game. And then they'll play on Sunday in the championship. It'd be Sunday afternoon if they're in the championship, or the third place game also on Sunday. But you got a chance to play Texas A&M, which would be for the first of 2 times because they're playing them again like 2 weeks later in non-con.
Do you want that, BJ, or would you prefer, say, Boise State win through this tournament and A&M lose at some point so they don't play? Or would you want to see them play twice?
It's a quad 1 game. I mean, you're trying to get as many quad 1 games as you can. So I think you take your chances with them, figure some things out for the second time you play them. If you do get a Colorado or somebody and maybe it's quad 2, I guess if you have a better, I guess what would you take, a win to win the tournament and get a win, or, potentially a close quad 1 loss? I guess you'd have to debate that, what you'd rather do. But I think you could make arguments for both of them. I think you want to play as many quad 1 games as you can, but Johnny, it feels different going into the tournament because you got that win against Washington State. You've got your first of what you hope is several kind of, resume building wins. And now you head to Myrtle Beach, man. It's a long trip. I can tell you that it's like a 12-hour travel day tomorrow to get there. You got to fly all the way to Atlanta, and then Atlanta to Myrtle Beach, and it's just not ideal. But it's an opportunity here. They're going to get a couple games on the ESPN channels, whether it's ESPN News, ESPNU, ESPN2, I believe, and there's going to be some good competition there. So I think it's a nice early season, 3 games in 4 days to see where Boise State's at.
Yeah, and basketball team building is such a big deal. There's only 12 guys on the team, plus the travel party of the coaches and the broadcasters and everybody who goes. And when you're able to spend that time, I think, and not only figuring out who you are on the floor, but also off the floor, that's a big deal. And Leon Rice knows that probably as well as anybody in this conference. So to have that opportunity, that's going to help them. If they can play quality opponents, that's going to help them. If they can win games, that's going to help them. So a good trip coming up. I appreciate that you'll be there with your coverage. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the Broncos can do. This is it's a fun time in this valley. And I don't know, we haven't been here forever, but you have a basketball program that seems to have as much, if not more, support than it's ever had since I've been here. I mean, sure, maybe the Bobby Dye days 40 years ago different, but Leon has, I think, the backing of a lot of people that he didn't always have with this fan base and whatnot. And the football team goes without saying, right? I mean, this is a fun time this weekend with the Myrtle Beach tournament there for the basketball team. And then obviously the opportunity in front of the football team in Laramie where you win. And you're saying basically mathematically, BJ, you win. Not only do you win the division, but you host.
I think so. As long as Fresno State wins, I believe they can't catch them. So yeah, I think Boise State would be guaranteed to host if they win on Saturday against Wyoming. So Colin Mitchell from Bronco Nation News will be in Laramie, so we'll have both games covered. We'll still have the pregame and postgame show from the football game on Saturday. So 4 days in a row of big coverage, Thursday through Sunday, coming for Bronco Nation News. Johnny, we appreciate your time. We'll be listening. We got the Avalos presser at 1, and then at 3 o'clock, you and Prater will have a full recap of the weekend. Idaho Sports Talk, KTIK, all the great places folks can listen to that 95.3 FM. So we appreciate you. We appreciate JP for getting there to help get you on as well. And we'll be listening, man, 3 o'clock.
Thanks, BJ.
There he is, John Mallory. Appreciate everybody for checking us out today. Have a great Monday. Jay Tuss and I will be back 9 a.m. tomorrow. Have a great day. Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com.